Hello and welcome to today's Facebook LinkedIn Live. I'm really excited because I'm going to be chatting with a diversity and inclusion expert today, Samantha Lubanzu. We're going to be talking all about how to debunk diversity, dishonesty, and build genuine inclusion in the workplace. So as people are logging on, let us know if you can hear us all right. Do give any examples you can think of diversity, dishonesty, whether it be in your organization or an organization that you're aware of. We love to hear your thoughts and experiences. But I'm chatting today all about diversity, dishonesty at work and how you can actually build genuine inclusion at work. And I'm chatting today with Samantha Lubanzu, who is a diversity and inclusion expert. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's so nice to chat with you.
Oh, thank you. I'm really delighted to be here.
Yes.
It's been exciting. I think we've been waiting to get on here for a while, but you've been waiting for me to as I say, to give birth to my lovely little one, my latest edition.
I know. Samantha is now a mum of 6, which is just incredible. So congratulations.
Thank you. True diversity and inclusion.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'd not heard of diversity. I'm just turning my phone off so in case it goes off. I'd not heard about diversity, dishonesty as a term before. I don't know. Is it quite a new term? Has it been going around for a while?
So it is definitely a new term, but it's not a new thing. So
no, I can imagine it's not a new thing.
It's a new coin term, diversity, dishonesty. But what it basically is, it's showing that companies that say, lip service, they're showing that they are doing all the right things. They're, got some, really ambitious statements and show, even in the media, they're showing all the things that they're doing for diversity and inclusion. And it all looks amazing and great. But actually behind closed doors, that is not the real practice. That is not what's really happening
that is just
inside it is absolutely terrible. And I really believe it undermines some really great companies who are doing really well in the air, in the space. Because, and also it hurts, it disproportionately hurts women the most. So we will then, potentially, if we're going to go for a new role, we'll go for a company who says they've got flexible working, who says they've got all these great things. And if we get into an organization that says these things and we get in there and take that, what is a risk, what's going to happen is we find that they're completely dishonest, this diversity, dishonesty. That means that we are the ones that are going to be affected the most, because we have to think about childcare. We've got to think about finding another real organization that's going to be flexible. And just think of it that way.
Do you know what? It's so true, because I've got so many examples of people that message me all the time because they've had their flexible working requests turned down, or they can't, and they're working for companies, and you think your company is putting things on social media all the time about what a brilliant employee they are. And
yeah, you know what? That's exactly what happened to myself. So I work for a big FTSE 100 company, and I remember opening one of the adverts, recent advert that they had out, and an award that they had for flexible working, and I burst into tears because I had just come back after my second child. I requested for a 4-day week, and basically they'd sat on it. They'd refused it basically and said no. And not only that, I was using holidays so I could have this extra day off for 6 months. So can you imagine? I opened this thingy going, we are, flexible working company. I literally burst into tears. I was like, and it made me think, is this for some people? Is this because ultimately we report to managers, and managers are the ones that make decisions for these companies. So is it because actually they're not really making sure people are accountable and held accountable for the decisions that they make, and actually checking that what they're saying and getting awards for example, are truly reflected to the bottom line? Through surveys and statistics, make sure that they check in, because I was one of many. I know that I wasn't the first person who had been refused their flexible working request after returning back from maternity leave. It's not the first time. So it's especially when you've got a real big company that you're working for, you expect that standard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like, reminds me of what you're saying about the Lloyds Banking Group, because obviously they're backtracking, aren't they, on their flexible working now?
Yeah.
It's been in the news. But that last year, I think I saw it on Mother Pucker's Instagram post, that they were literally just voted like flexible working employer of the year or something.
Oh my days. That's the thing. So we're, as outsiders, it's very difficult for us to underpin, but there are ways for us to find out if there's true diversity, honesty. And I can give you examples. So first of all, to find out, you need to look at the numbers. Everyone goes, oh, numbers, but we do, numbers is a really great opportunity for us to find out if what they're saying is true. One is to find out if there's representation in leadership positions. That's an easy one to check.
How would you find these numbers then? If you were an outsider, where can you access this data?
So you can, some things are reported. So, pay has to be reported in certain companies. So you can actually get access to this information. Social media is a massive place to go. So social media, find out what employees are saying. You can also go and check on their company reports. So if they're saying they're diverse, we're really invested in senior leadership and being more diverse, and you look at the senior leadership and it's all white men, that kind of shares clearly where is the real commitment there. And then you can also go to places like Glassdoor. I think they need to have a question now for diversity and inclusion. I think that needs to be a question to say, is this your organization inclusive or not? In fact, I might send them a note. And actually, that's a great way to find out what's actually going on. So looking at statistics that's already published, I always when I look at numbers, one of the things that I always do is finding out what is published. For example, if they say they're a diverse company, and you can see, because there are big companies, big massive companies that do this, they say we're quite really, really diverse, but it's a revolving door. So and you'll know that, Elizabeth, from a recruitment point of view, you keep seeing the same roles, the same type of role, quite senior or kind of middle management, recruiting for over and over again. It's been there. It was there for 6 months. It came back again another 6 months. How many jobs have they got? And seeing that people actually going in and then just coming back out, that's a sign that not only they may be getting people, but they're not staying. And why are they not staying? And it shows that they're not actually being inclusive. There's something going on in the internal works. And I want to say this, sorry, Amazon, but Amazon is a big one for this. They're a big one for a revolving door. They've been caught out for diversity and dishonesty because of not having safe working environments. I think in COVID, that was the worst example from Amazon. So there are real strong examples of where organizations do that.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, it's really, so we talked about flexible working, and that's sort of one way you could be, I suppose, quite inclusive. I mean, what other ways, if companies are listening to this and actually do have a genuine commitment to being diverse and inclusive, what other sort of levers and, initiatives can they implement? And how can they, I guess, encourage that diversity in business?
So the first way is not just obviously lip service, actually going out and doing the actual work. So making sure that we know that women and underrepresented groups are the most disproportionately targeted, and we don't have the numbers. So they need to actually go and do action. So they need to go and stretch the net out wider to get those individuals into the company and nurture them from start to finish throughout the employee journey while they're in there. That means making sure that they have real solid programs for development, not just getting them in and then leaving them and putting them to the side. Or another way that they do is putting them in high profile, visible roles where people can see that they have one diverse individual, but actually don't give them responsibility or accountability. So actually getting them in, training them appropriately, giving the opportunities as well. So not saying that they need to have an Oxford degree to do a manager's job. You see it all the time. There's some things that are put in adverts. It isn't necessary and doesn't stretch the net out wider. It's not necessary. Truly putting flexible working into the organization, not just saying it. So allowing for individuals who are returning back from maternity, and this can go for men and other people that identify as others as well. They have real flexible working policies that actually means that people get lives outside of work, ones that actually work, not just it's all about business. Make it be a win-win. Yes, there's an you do have a business to run, but in today's day where we can work from home, we can take an hour to go and pick up our kids, we can log back in a little bit later if we need to. They can actually structure things so differently. And we're in a complete new world now where we have the opportunity to do that. So take the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned obviously the revolving door that people, can enter organizations and it not be what they expect. What other consequences are there to an organization and to individuals of diversity dishonesty?
Bad reputation. I mean, the fact that I'm talking about, Amazon means that it damages their reputation, severely damages their reputation. I'm going to give you an example of L'Oreal. So L'Oreal is another example. I remember when they said they had True Colors, and True Colors was like saying that all our makeup will cover every single shade from, we've done. And what happened is, it wouldn't have, when it went and launched, there was a massive backlash because it didn't cover all colors. It wouldn't have been able to do my color because my color is too dark for them. So what happened is people were kind of offended, and they had to go back to the drawing board. They do now and have corrected that and made sure that they're true colors, but that's damaged. People are not going to trust that. That means I'm not going to go to
L'Oreal,
I'm not going to go there for their products because they didn't represent me. And not only that, I don't trust that it's going to work, because if it didn't work the first time, what's to say it's going to work now?
and how much money have they invested in that?
Do you see what I mean? So
interesting. Have you got any other? So that's sort of something like that's come out as really bad PR, I guess, and that's affected consumers. But I guess any other examples where it's maybe affected the employees? We talked as well about Lloyd's banking group. I mean, Goldman Sachs is another good example of a company that doesn't seem to, from an outsider perspective, to value diversity and inclusion that much.
Yeah, there's quite a fair few. So we've got Uber as well. Uber with their women's rights and things like that. Uber was in the papers for not being true and honest. So Uber is definitely one. But actually, I just want to highlight because you talked about a banking group, but one that has been highlighted as a good company, maybe. I'm just thinking, because you said is Nationwide Building Society.
Oh,
so
really?
they've been
Am I bank?
There we go. So they
I feel good now.
restart accreditation for its commitment, and from what we get, and this is again going to Glassdoor's, looking at what people say, there's a genuine commitment to diversity, inclusion, and a real true balance in their work-life balance in terms of flexible working. So that's a good example of flexible working that's working. Check what employees say. The best way to check
that is actually a good point, because I never actually get emails from people that work for Nationwide. They don't message me looking for, I get a lot from the other banks, but not.
I can imagine all the other banks. So I've worked for a bank as well. So just to highlight that. So yes, long hours, and it is the time, especially in the banking groups, they can do so much more. Working from home is possible, and banks are open 24 hours. Like,
absolutely. So we talked about diversity obviously benefits individuals, and it benefits an organization from like an employer branding perspective, being able to attract candidates. But what about the bottom line and their profits? How, if you're trying to persuade a Goldman Sachs, who is obviously hugely committed to making a profit, how does diversity feed into that?
Oh my days. So the thing is, the return on investment is being documented everywhere now. We know that. What is it? It went up from 25 to 35% on in the UK alone. If they're more diverse and inclusive, you're talking going into billions that they can tap into just by being a more diverse and inclusive company.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, do you think that organizations are being diverse and inclusive because they get to tap into that? If they're talking global companies, you talk going into trillions, tapping into that. In terms of performance in their company, that has been documented from the McKinsey report, is 25%. So opportunities in organizations are incredible. Now, because they know that, there are other things that are, the return on investment is definitely there, but also other things are really exciting from a diversity inclusion perspective. Innovation, some of the greatest inventions known to man are being created by diverse individuals.
Yeah.
For example, the mobile phone. But
Okay. I don't know who invented the mobile phone.
mobile phone was invented by a black man. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That's my own neurodiversity going in. But I can tell you that the advancement of having the iPhone and things like that, obviously with Steve Jobs, he was dyslexic. I remember his name, but I can't remember. So I need to remember and put it on here in the chat. So I accredit the person who created the mobile phone, but it was a black man. So that's quite important because we, as individuals who are from a diverse, we do get forgotten. It was quite hard for me to actually track that information down and find out that, wow, things that we enjoy every single day have been created for diverse individuals, but we get to benefit. So innovation, creativity, and inclusion. And I will just say things like, obviously, this is, I worked in one of the top banks, and I lived in London, in Canary Wharf. And if you go into Canary Wharf and go into one of the top banks, they're huge, massive buildings going up to 35 floors. I'm going to give you an example. I don't mind walking, but I don't want to walk up 35 floors. Okay, just don't. But we get to enjoy there's a lift.
There's a lift.
There's a lift. It's fact. There's a lift. The lift was not created for me. It was created for those who had mobility challenges. Now, because of inclusion, it means we get to enjoy something that was created for someone who had difficulties.
That's a great example.
But it is, though. It's the same thing. Text messaging. How many people text message? It wasn't created for us, but we get to enjoy it every day. So the thing that we got to remember is when we are more diverse and inclusive and we start to create better service and products, it benefits everybody. It's not just about, it benefits this one diverse customer that I might get through the door. Actually, it makes everyone's life easier in one way or another.
Yeah.
We'll never be without the slow cooker, would we now, as mothers? Or the air fryer.
Great. I was thinking of other people that like Canva, that was the woman. And Calendly.
Calendly's own. Yeah, that's right. Calendly's.
And there's stuff I use like all day, every day.
Yeah, I always say that because a lot of the time, especially people who might have smaller businesses and they're working for smaller companies, they're like, well, we can't really do much, can we? Because we're just a small business. And like, there's so many opportunities to go and invest in diversely owned companies that we actually use to function on a day-to-day, and go and do a bit of research to say, how can I look at my supply chain? Because there's things that you have to buy and invest in every single day that's diverse and inclusive. As small business, even solopreneurs, we have the opportunity to think about that, to say, even just things like for us, I'm talking about brand photography, individuals, we can say, well, who are going to go and get my photos taken off next time? I could go and try someone who's a disabled led or black owned or, diverse led business instead, so that they can start to get the economical injection into their businesses.
Right, yeah. And I guess even as individual, like you said, as individuals, who's
where
are you going to go, which shopping.
Exactly. But the thing is that people got to remember is that the new generation does that. We have to think about it, but the new generation does that. That's why diversity inclusion is so important, is because of social media, because of things that the information is so quick at the power of just their phones. People will check. The younger generation don't hesitate to check things. So if we don't get it right now, the opportunities are going to be lost. And it says already that those that are diverse will keep going up and those that are not will keep going down. So the gap will continue to get wider. You're either going to be there or you're going to be down. It's up to you. The choice is yours, isn't it?
Right. Someone said here, really true. It's so true that we can personally support our values through our individual choices.
Yeah, individual choices. I agree. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So do you know LinkedIn? On the company page, I don't think they have this yet, but I wonder if this is a feature that you would support. If you go on a company page and you can see number of employees, I guess this would be how much people, submitted about themselves, but you potentially you could get the data if LinkedIn added this feature on, you could see who actually worked at that company and how long they'd worked in that. They'd have to improve the analytics, and but that is something you would support.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if we could be able to see that.
I don't know who's in charge of LinkedIn.
I don't know. You're listening to us, #LinkedIn. LinkedIn. I think that's a really great feature. I think that's a really great. But the thing about what I like about LinkedIn, actually, talking about LinkedIn, is we can actually see what people are saying and where they work. It's a very different platform to any other platform. We can see if someone's unhappy, like I'm sick of my work, I'm not being able to pick up the kids. You can gauge by the conversations that people are
Even like
having,
the
even if
comments.
indirect, comments, even if the indirect comment, indirectly, not directly speaking about the company, they just by the way they're saying certain things, like I've worked all day today, never had it even, and not even I've not slept, I've been on this project, didn't get to pick up my kids. You can tell, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like a great company to work for. So the good thing about LinkedIn is we get the opportunity to see that. So, and that's a unique, very unique feature that we have on the LinkedIn platform, which I really like.
I like it. Yeah,
And we can also have an easy check if people are connected on LinkedIn to find out if they're diverse. You just need to put in the company, e.g., you can put in Amazon, and you can see what the company looks like just by looking
yeah,
and
just like,
seeing what the common hashtags are. That's another thing.
okay. I feel like I need to brush up on my LinkedIn. I didn't know you could look at common hashtags on the page.
Yep.
Okay, I'll have a look. We'll all have a look now. What role do recruitment, obviously you've got recruitment experience as well, what role does recruitment and talent management play in fostering genuine diversity and inclusion in an organisation?
Well, I think we mentioned it before. I think it's by having a real strategic diversity inclusion plan for your diverse audiences from the start to finish. You're talking about the full employee journey, because a lot of the time they just want to, let's just get the numbers. And they talk about numbers being important. It is, but they are still individuals. They are still people, and we need to nurture them. So it's stretching it out wider, connecting with diverse audiences and communities. And when I say connecting with them, doing the groundwork first. So not just, going out into those communities and really sponsoring and investing into those communities. And that could be by having young girls leadership to teenagers, helping them to understand what kind of jobs they have, and really kind of doing little mini programs to invest in them. It could be going into diverse communities and helping them, even just like coaching them, having little breakfast clubs where they can learn new skills, really investing in those things from the very beginning, and fostering an inclusive environment outside. Because a lot of the time we constantly think about it has to be internal, but actually no, to really get brand awareness, you need to be doing it from the get-go. Kids remember things. Kellogg's, for example, in the UK, we remember things because we have seen it since we're little. If you say
they
Kellogg's,
do the breakfast clubs, don't they, actually, as well, don't they?
yeah, they do breakfast clubs. What's the benefit of them doing breakfast clubs for kids?
But I like it, as I like seeing it on the.
Yeah. What about McDonald's? So this is a great idea in terms of companies that are doing well in it. McDonald's, in terms of what they do, they know that get them young, basically, but in the right way. Get them young, and obviously McDonald's, they're doing better in terms of healthy eating, I'm hoping. But they get them young, and they have brand awareness, and it stays there forever. It stays there forever, imprints on the individual. So when they get to of age, when they're looking for a company they want to work for, they will usually go for a company who had an impact on them. Now, I remember when one of the companies I worked for, I remember them coming into my school, doing sports days, getting, really investing into those communities that don't have. So when I did go for roles, they're the top companies that I think of. Oh, I want to go and apply for a job there. They were showcasing things, and you do generally remember them. So really going out into those communities and thinking about it from the very get-go, really nurturing them.
Yeah, and it's a long-term thing, isn't it?
It's a long-term journey. Don't just think about it just for the recruitment. Oh, now it's time to recruit. You haven't fostered any real relationships. You haven't broken any boundaries to get into those communities. You've not even tried. And even if you're trying now, you still got parents seeing what you're doing for their kids, and that will spark an interest. So
Absolutely,
still do it, and don't think that that's gonna, reputation is massive when it comes to diversity inclusion. And then when it comes to recruitment, obviously the best thing to do is send the net out wider. A lot of the time, and using inclusive language, it's the amount of times I've seen inclusive language not being used in job adverts. Being accessible, at this point now, I just think if I go for an advert and it's like telling me to, this one makes me laugh actually. If you say upload your CV,
Yeah.
and then you see that it's got an AI that it populates it, and then it's telling you now input all the information that was on your CV.
Oh God, I hate those.
What?
Yeah.
What? You've just told me to upload my CV. You've literally populated it. Now you're telling me to do it all over again. And then you're like, okay, I've done that. I didn't want to. And then afterwards, it's telling you to input more information that was still on your CV. I actually just give up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people give up.
I just say, like, if you are not got this right at this point, what is the point? If that means you've not even sorted out the basic accessibility standards that most companies have now, what is the point? In fact,
Yeah.
CVs, I think we need to kind of really look at those in a different light anyway, and have different ways of interviewing people. So it's more, little
Yeah.
mini sessions of conversations, as opposed to going through really long, rigorous CVs.
I mean,
And
is the CV dead now, really, with LinkedIn?
it's just not
You need
necessary.
a CV.
Well, your CV is your profile now, isn't it? If you look at LinkedIn, your profile and what you do, and
I
that's
mean,
your kind of CV now, isn't it? Very different. I think there needs to be a difference in the way we look at it. So yes, looking at recruitment, looking at how you recruit. Another one that I notice is people don't have that minimum standard of we recruit diversely. I always, if I don't see that that I just like, this is not a diverse and inclusive company. That's like a minimum
that makes
statement. It's a minimum statement at this point, and it's not just to say just put it, and it's not. Again, that's this diverse.
Often though, the thing is though, I do see this on my ads. They'll put it right at the bottom, and then the
Right at the
advert
bottom.
itself wasn't very like inclusive, and then it's just this thing at the bottom. And I think,
Yeah. If you exactly what I was going to say, it's not just about putting it at the bottom and then that's it. You need to actually really focus on the language that you're using in your recruitment, and making sure that it translates into the workplace. It's not just words, it actually works. And I believe there was a study that was done for women that said that if the person's specification, if what your requirements are more than, I think it was 6, a woman would unlikely to apply. In terms of what is essential, the essential one. So if you have one that's really, really long and they've got about 20 different, you've got to essentially tick these off. It's unlikely that a woman would apply. It's more likely that a man would apply to that position. So actually thinking about having shorter versions. I know some companies are like, well, it's helping us sieve out the wrong people, but actually you're actually being exclusive in terms of people that you want to apply. You're actually putting off. So try to make them shorter.
I think
what
the trickiness is often they'll get a job and they need to fill it because the person's leaving, and so then that suddenly it's all about speed rather than like really considering who they want to bring in. And then because of the speed thing, they just think we need a like for like, we need someone that can hit the ground running because we haven't got time to train them. And that is the frustration from somebody like you that really cares about diversity and inclusion. You think, oh, this person does have really good transferable skills, they wouldn't need that much training. But I think that is the difficulty, isn't it?
And another thing is that a lot of the conversations I have is, well, we don't really have the budget for kind of like diverse individuals. If they're neurodiverse, we can't really cater for them. Or if they're disabled, we don't have the budget. We just don't have it. So I want to just kind of highlight that there is absolutely no excuse, because the government actually support individuals getting into work through a scheme called Access to Work. So companies can tap into up to £62,000 a year for one individual. So there's no excuse to budget. It's the government's best kept secret. Yeah,
I didn't know that. Wow, you'll have to send me the link and we'll put it in the show notes.
I will definitely put the link here. So there is absolutely no excuse. There's no excuse, and this is, again, if it's about budget, nurturing those relationships, recruitment. So once they're in, really, really investing in individuals. Don't just. Another thing that I get a lot is getting people in and thinking that just having system access accessible is a cure for whatever an individual may have. So, for example, if they're neurodiverse, right, we've got you Dragon, we've got you earphones. Now you should be perfect. No, it's not a cure. They're still going to be they're going to be areas where they're not going to be at the optimal, but they're going to be areas where they really thrive. So focusing in on those areas that they truly thrive, as opposed to lumbering them with things to try and cure them. And that's what happens. They're like, well, we've given you everything. Why are you not performing at the top end? And looking at them as a neurotypical individual, as opposed to looking at the benefits that they can have if they focus on their key strengths, not their weaknesses that they're trying to fix. So nurturing them, supporting them, finding out, actually having genuine conversations to find out what they need as an individual to really accelerate them, and creating those opportunities and budgeting for those opportunities and getting them into senior leadership roles. We want to see more diverse individuals. Being true to what you say, making sure that mothers can go out and have childcare and look at the flexible working and still progress. It takes just one manager to say no to flexible working and actually completely stop someone's life cycle of progression. Just one manager can really mess up a company reputation. So really invest in your managers, to know diversity inclusion and really invest in their own people, because middle managers are the ones, I think they're the kind of the gatekeepers, believe it or not, for how we really are.
They're the ones that actually run the company, the day-to-day run the company, don't they?
Yeah, having diversity inclusion at the top and it filtering down is perfect, because the values are there, all that great stuff. But the gatekeepers, the people who actually are doing the they're the ones that need to be really trained and upskilled in diversity inclusion, because they're the ones that are actually making the real decisions. Let's face it, whether the flexible working request is going to be made, whether or not you're going to progress.
Yeah, who's actually going to be hired if they're doing this?
Yeah, who's going to be hired and whether they're not going to be hired. They're the ones that are making the final decision at the end of the day. So we need to invest in those middle managers. We need to make sure that that's done, because they're the ones that are going to be the future later on.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much, Samantha, for your time. So how do you help organizations become more diverse and inclusive?
Oh, in so many ways now. I feel like I'm building up this big catalog of stuff, because there's so much to do. But in a nutshell, in a main, is I go into companies to help them with strategies in how they can be more diverse and inclusive. That includes audits, that includes plans, that includes training. I've just had my Evolve CPD accredited diversity inclusion training accredited, which is exciting, which is it's 8 modules. It goes through awareness, the fundamentals, the law. It talks about language, which is the biggest one, to overcome the fear. We have real good conversations about that. It talks about how to have strategies, not just at the top, but also for team leaders and managers to have their own mini diversity inclusion strategies to run their teams, which is not often thought about. And I basically train a lot of managers in inclusive leadership as well. So that's a kind of a whistle stop tour. I do a lot more. I also coach women coach women as well, in terms of diverse women, particularly because they're the most underrepresented, to really climb to senior levels so that they can overcome like self-sabotage. And we can do lots of things for the company, but there's a lot of damage that's been done from our side as Black women, because we've had a lot of damage done to us. So helping us to go past imposter syndrome, become more self-aware, and break out and break free. We're very loyal. We might stay in the company for years and years and years, saying they're not progressing me, because we're very loyal, and we're doing a great job. We've been awarded and we've done all this, but we stay exactly where we are. It's time to break free from those companies that don't move you forward. We've got a question, haven't we, there?
Thinking about middle managers making decisions or recommendations on those that impact people's lives.
Middle managers need to be the ones that we look at, as well as the leaders, the main leaders. The middle managers are the ones. Yeah. So,
brilliant. So how can people find you and connect with you?
So LinkedIn is my favorite platform, of course. So LinkedIn, I am under Samantha Lubanzu, Lubanzu, and you'll see Career Biz Coach. I'm there every single day, apart from Saturday and Sundays, because I do have 6 kids, so I have a little break on those days. And you can also find me at www.samantha.lubanzu. Is it Samantha Lubanzu? SamanthaLubanzu.com. And I'm also in your Facebook group as well.
You are. And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you? You've got a good Instagram account.
I'm on Instagram where you see me having fun and doing my reels, doing my practice reels and showing you my kids. So you want to see the fun part of me, get onto my social side. Yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram, which is Samantha.Lubanzu. So you have to put the dot in Lubanzu. And I'm also on Facebook. I'm on every platform. On Twitter. You'll find me everywhere.
Are you on TikTok?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on absolutely every single platform. On
Really?
Twitter, I'm Sammy Luby. So
I'm not even on Twitter.
SAMMYLUBBY.
Okay. What about TikTok? Are you on TikTok yet?
I just started my TikTok. Yes, I am.
So
I'm really
what are you on TikTok?
I've got a podcast.
Have
So
you?
my podcast is Super Women Can, of course.
Brilliant.
Super Women Can, and it's about breaking free for diverse women to really climb the corporate ladder, climb up in their careers to really accelerate. And I interview some amazing, inspirational, successful women on the platform. And it's been amazing. I've done 11 episodes. I'm about to start my next set of episodes. I had a little break to give birth. And I'm really excited for those women that you're going to see on there. So my podcast is Super Women Can. It's on all the major platforms. You will see on TikTok and what's the other one?
Well, Apple Podcast, Spotify.
Yeah, you'll see it on everything. It's on everything. You'll see it on everything. I'll pop a little link below with the details as well if you want to see my podcast. But I'm getting loads of great feedback about the podcast as well.
Good.
So
I'll check it out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you'll love it.
It's a pleasure to chat with you today.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm really delighted to be able to have this really, really valuable conversation about diversity, dishonesty.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone that has watched. And if you missed any of it, it's been a really, really valuable conversation. So as always, we'll put the replay on the website with the show notes as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.